So good morning, everyone. Welcome to SEEDIG 7 series. In case you don't know me, I'm Olga Kiriliuk, Chair of SEEDIG Executive Committee. I want to start our event by saying a huge thanks to each of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to welcome those of you who have been part of the community for quite a long time, as well as those of you who are new to our SEEDIG community. You probably know that this year marks SEEDIG's 7th anniversary, and we are proud to be able to keep innovating and piloting our annual meeting in a new series format. Today, we are hosting the very first event, then we will give you some time to enjoy your summer vacation, and then we will keep taking care of your 2021 digital agenda during the autumn months. So today we will be talking a lot about the universal acceptance. The topic always got specific traction in our linguistically diverse region, but not so much progress followed in the implementation side. So this is why we decided to take a slightly different approach to universal acceptance and discuss it from the perspective of engagement strategies which are being applied by various stakeholders. And we, of course, also asked our guest speakers to share their own experiences on stakeholder engagement strategies. So before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously invested their time and efforts to make this event happen, and in particular to SEEDIG Program Committee for designing the event agenda, to Diplo Foundation for their tech assistance, to ICANN and DRIVE NCC for their continuous sponsorship support. And my separate gratitude goes to the event co-organizer, Serbian National Internet Domain Registry Foundation, RNIC. With that, I want to give the floor to RNIC CEO, Dejan Đukić, for welcoming remarks. Dejan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Dejan Đukić, as Olga mentioned, CEO of Serbian CCTLD. Thank you for joining us for this online event. I sincerely hope that these online events will be history in the nearest future and that we will be able to discuss very soon all relevant topics in person. But before that, we have to continue with these online events before circumstances made it better. As the main topic of our agenda today is universal acceptance and IDM. This is one of those topics that includes several disciplines like technical, cultural, user choice, etc. From my point of view, user choice is a big part of this topic. ICANN and registry did their job to make it possible, and users could register domain names in their languages. But on the other hand, other service providers need to finish their part of the job and complete this puzzle. I hope that in the near future we will have some progress on this, and that IDN domains will be functional and complete. Thank you, and I wish you productive discussion. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dan. So our today's agenda is quite intense, and we hope for your active participation. We are very proud to welcome for a fireside chat Danko Jevtović, member of ICANN Board of Directors, as our keynote speaker. Then after a short coffee break, will follow a stakeholder dialogue on universal acceptance engagement strategies with the participation of our guest speakers, Mark William Datesgeld, Kristina Hakobian, Maria Kolesnikova, and Diana Milutinovic. While we have a dedicated open mic session at the end of the event, we encourage you to actively participate in the discussion, raise questions, and share your experiences throughout the whole event. We have Vladislav Ivanets as a chat moderator and Katarina Gevorgyan as events rapporteur. I want also to remind you that event is being recorded and live streamed on Facebook and YouTube. So those of you who could not join us on Zoom can still follow us and direct questions and comments to us via those platforms. In order to give our interaction a bit of human face, we would appreciate if you switch your cameras on, especially when you would like to interact with the guest speakers. And now, without any further delay and with great pleasure, I pass the floor to our event moderator, a passionate advocate of universal acceptance and a person who needs no introduction, Dusan Stojicevic. Dusan, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No need for introduction. Okay, so I will continue. The session is going to be separated in two parts. So first part will be interview with Danko. What is so interesting that Danko can tell us, and why we are talking with him, he will explain. So please, Danko, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dusan. I'm happy to be introduced by a person that needs no introduction. My name is Danko Jevtovic. I am a board member of ICANN Internet Corporation for assigned names of numbers, as we probably all know. And the ICANN role is primarily technical. We are there to be steward of the Internet identifiers, meaning to, in a technical sense, coordinate Internet domains, names, and numbers. But probably even more importantly, for SEEDIG, I am from this region, and I am extremely happy to see this 7th SEEDIG coming to our homes over Zoom. I was one of the people who were there at the beginnings of the work, and now seeing it being an important stakeholder representing people from these regions, this is something really important for me. So this is why one of the reasons why I'm happy to be speaking with Dusan today. But the second one is universal acceptance itself, because this is something that is very important for ICANN as the organization that is caring for the Internet identifiers, but also important for me because I'm same as Dusan and some people here coming from Serbia, and Serbia is a country that is using two scripts, and Serbia National Internet Domain Registry, and it's our host today, is managing top-level domain names with both Cyrillic and Latin script. So this is something that I use in my everyday lives, and this is one of the reasons why in the ICANN board, this 20 people strong, but I'm engaged with the board working group on universal acceptance, and making sure that ICANN as the organization is aware of the importance of this for the community. So I believe this chat with Dusan is opportunity for me to send the message from ICANN, but also more opportunity for me to hear about the thinking about universal acceptance and what ICANN can do to help this process. So okay, thank you for having me here.
Okay, Danko. In his welcoming speech, Dan was telling us that ICANN did his job and allow us to have IDNs and to use our script. So what is your opinion on universal acceptance? Is it meaningful for ICANN? Does ICANN did do his job entirely? And what's your opinion about universal acceptance overall with connection with ICANN?
I wouldn't contradict our gracious host here saying that we didn't do our job, but this statement is a bit putting things in a positive light. So on a basic level, there are standards. And there are IDN domain names in the second level domain at the second level, and of course now in a top level. So we have some statistics that are interesting and sound positively. But from ICANN's perspective, the key message is that in our strategic plan, 5-year plan, one of the key action items is to promote universal acceptance of domain names and email addresses. So by putting that in our strategic plan, we define some strategic goals that really show that ICANN is inside this drive, and that we see this as an important part of our mission and our goals for next year. So we have done the basic technical part. We are also doing some internal things that will enable more languages and scripts in the top level domain names. It's about tables, about the allowable characters in IDN scripts. So there is a lot of this part of the work going on, but I see more of the icons work in a support of the community engagements relating to IDNs, because we cannot do that by ourselves. By enabling existence of the IDNs, only first part of the things is done. We need really, that's what we call universal acceptance, meaning the possibly idealistic goal, but still our goal to enable all our domain names to function everywhere, not only as websites, that is rather easy, and email addresses, it's a bit of a challenge, but also as identifiers for users all around the world in all languages.
Okay, so from other sources, I have here some really big news for me as a registrar. So the big news is that we will have new GTLDs coming up, new round coming up soon. So in those new GTLDs, and new GTLDs itself, it's part of universal acceptance, but we will have also many IDNs in the new round. So can you tell us more about it or announce new round?
Well, I can definitely speak about our project for new GTLDs, but maybe you know more than I do when you say soon, because it's very difficult to define soon in this point, because there is still a lot of more work to be done. So well, just to paint a bit of a larger picture. So in 2012, I believe the new GTLD program started that enable the big round of the new GTLDs. And a lot of those new GTLDs are IDN ones, meaning using scripts different than US ASCII script. So now, after a number of years, the community has gathered up and created a cross-community working group. We call it SubPro, on subsequent procedures for new GTLDs. So this program is now not a kind of one-off program, but program that should have a continuous run. So now we are preparing the first round of the new GTLDs, but we expect this to be some sort of a continuous process. So those recommendations took a really substantial amount of work and obviously time, and now they have come to the ICANN board. And the ICANN board is considering the recommendations of the cross-community working group. And in order to do that, we, as the board, need understanding of what needs to be done to prepare the new GTLDs, to do the SubPro. And in order to do that, we initiated something we call ODP. It's the operational design phase that will give the board understanding of the work that needs to be done to implement those recommendations, and also to understand the alignment of the recommendations with the global public interest that is key to the board's work. So, coming to the IDNs, sorry about about speaking too much. But the point is that we, at the board level, I believe it speaks also for the whole ICANN community, see the expansion of the TLD as a sort of a democratization process that will enable more languages, more communities, more various interests to be present in a top-level domain name. So in the root as a top-level domain names. So this is very important because we need to bring the next billions of people online in internet. And most of the people in the world don't speak English as their first language. So we are here from the SEEDIG region, and I don't know if anyone here on this call has English as his first language, and sometimes we all struggle with expressing ourselves as English, understanding English, and for all of us, it's easier to speak in our native languages. And lots of those are using scripts that are not US ASCII script. And in that way, for internet to be accessible to everyone, we need internet identifiers that will be able to be in these scripts and also to be acceptable by people globally. So the universal acceptance is one of the key drivers and key points to be achieved in this new GTLD program. So at this moment, I unfortunately cannot answer your question with any certainty when the sub-pro and when the new GTLDs will start up. I can just tell you that it's a substantial process. A lot of IT systems in the ICANN have to be prepared. At this point of time, we don't really know how many requests we are going to be getting. And if we can compare the next round with something similar as the previous round, we are talking about thousands of applications, and probably the whole budget for the whole project is in $300 to $400 million range. So it's not a small thing. And from the ICANN board's perspective, it's not about just accepting the policy. There is a lot of work in the financial construction, in our oversight role, and in just overseeing this whole process. So we are working very hard on that. And new thing that somehow forget to turn this off. Okay. So the next thing that is coming up, and I mentioned, is this operational design phase, and this is a public thing that will give a transparency and visibility to this phase. So I'm calling all of the community to participate and to read the information that is ICANN posting about preparations for the implementation of the sub-pro, and to participate and to comment, because we want to implement something that is according to the policy created by the cross-community working group, and something that really works for the community.
And just a little warning.
Just this for a second, because
just a little warning for those who wants to read those manuals about new GTLD rounds. Last time it was 4 big books. So it's really comprehensive work to read them and to comment on them, but it's okay.
Thank you, Dusan. Sorry to interrupt. You're absolutely right. Of course, you are speaking about the applicant's guidebook, and that's the set of documents that is designed to give full information to the future applicants. We had this last round, we will have this again. So we also learned lessons from previous round, and it's not easy, it's complicated. So one of the points of the new round and new rounds is to give better information for the applicants and to make them, to support them better, to support them in various languages. I believe that's very important to the community, and to help them go through this process. So the interested parties should start early. That's my message.
Good. So let us go back to our main topic, universal acceptance. As a board and as ICANN itself, I was trying to find what ICANN didn't do so far. So to go further from that, let me ask you about your engagement strategy. So there will be new GTLDs. You have this goal in your board. And what is the plan to engage people about IDNs and universal acceptance in whole? So
Yeah, well, there are a number of answers to that, but from board's point of view, the engagement strategy, engagement starts with strategy. And I mentioned the ICANN strategy, and with the operational initiative to promote the universal acceptance of domain names, email addresses, we have additional $2 million for next 5 years just to get into engagement strategy. So I believe this is something important. And of course, is any organization, the money shows your intention. How would you do that? So we are actually supporting the community in this work. There is a rather limited number of things that ICANN itself can do. And some of those are we doing, and we are listening to additional stuff we can do. So, for example, ICANN.org is not fully universal acceptance compliant at this moment. Our email system is not fully compliant because we are using anti-spam and security provider that is not fully UI compliant. So our technical department is putting pressure on our vendors, asking them to update their systems to be universal UA compliant, not only because of ICANN, but because this is good business for them. So to show them that customers require that. And this small example is showing where's the key to our problem. On one hand, there is not too many ID and domain names. So there is not too much of demand to vendors to support it. On the other hand, vendors are not supporting it because it's not too much demand. And then it's not easy for registries that are selling ID and domain names to sell them and to say, while we are fully supported, these domain names are born equal to any other. So this is the sort of a problem we have. So to tackle that problem, we need to communicate with vendors, with important websites, with anyone who can and should accept ID and domain names. So ICANN is doing our part. Our headquarters are in LA. That's the area where a lot of technological firms are based, and we are communicating with them. Some of them are already part of the Universal Acceptance Steering Group that Dusan knows more about it than I. Then from the ICANN perspective, we are also supporting the region, contacting the governments, telling them for our government engagement sector of ICANN, telling them that universal acceptance is very important for them. And they, especially countries that use non-US scripts, that they need to support their own residents, their own people, and they need in their procurement to specify that any software and hardware that they are buying should be UA ready, because this additional number of domain names and billions of users are coming online, and this is something that is important for the future. So a lot of things are happening, some of them directly inside ICANN, some of them as support of the community.
Okay, Danko. So I just want to reply on the chat. We all like SEEDIG region. So to the last chat message. Anyway, Danko, do you think that who is the main player who will decide on UA in some country from your experience? So do you think it is a government? Do you think it is I don't know, vendor, or maybe both?
Well, it's a bit of a trick question. I don't know, of course, but in my opinion, there is no one key point that needs to be done and UA to be solved. As I said, UA is a goal that we strive to achieve, but it's probably not fully implementable so that everything will work on any website everywhere. but we need to concentrate to areas where the number of people affected is the largest. So for sure, that's governments, but in my opinion, we need to focus widely with technological companies, with governments, with end users, with service providers, and to first raise awareness of importance of your universal acceptance, because this is well, the key for the enabling domain names to be competitive, to be accessible to everyone, and for identifiers really to work in all the paper languages. And then when we do that, we will have the kind of a rolling effect. When something starts to get faster and faster and we put more and more energy, we will see the good effects of our work.
Thank you. Danko, I think we are done. We have 2 minutes. If anyone wants to ask the board member about anything, you can write it on the chat. So you have 2 minutes, and I will sing. No, I will not sing. I will ask Danko about something else. From your perspective, to go further, do you think that I can, because it's based in LA and there is a lot of technology there, and technology firms are there, do you think that I should contact directly biggest players and biggest governments, not via some groups or something like that, community itself, but maybe the board of or something like that? So that is the question.
Well, thank you for the question, but ICANN is doing that. ICANN has a government stakeholder engagement group, and that group is contacting and working with the governments throughout the world. And one of the key messages that we are also doing is related to the universal acceptance. Then we are communicating with technological companies, not only in LA area and Silicon Valley, but all around the world. But one of the challenges is that level of, how to say it, universal acceptance problem in their view is not very high at the moment. So if you're speaking about Facebook, it's very difficult to engage the CEO of Facebook to speak about universal acceptance, because when the CEO is one person and that particular person has many quite important and political stuff on his mind. So we are working with the people who are directly engaging in their projects. But to speak about technological companies, you also need to understand it's a life cycle of products. So they have requests for features that are coming up. Every new feature is possibility to create more bugs in any software programs. So it's a complicated process that takes time. And we are putting more and more effort and resources in that, and I hope that we will get our result better and better. But if I may add one, I see there was some question in the chat, but I wanted just to add one more point from the ICANN's perspective. Well, as I said, we are coordinating the Internet Domain Name System, but in doing that, there are two, as you all know, two kinds of domain names, GTLDs and country codes. And ICANN is creating policies in a bottom-up multi-stakeholder model for these, and the CCs are creating their own policies. And IDN, in my mind, is a very important topic because it is one of the topics where country codes are definitely leading. So currently, in the report I have, there is 8.3 million IDN registrations worldwide, most of them in Chinese, and only 2 million are in Gs. So most of those are in country codes. And this is the area where we in the ICANN also can learn, because country codes have better relations with their own governments usually, and also country codes have more possibility to experiment and to be innovative in creating new stuff. So from ICANN perspective, this is really, really good area for cooperating. And I have to thank the country codes in the SEEDIG community for doing their great work and for helping, you know, all of the users globally to have our languages represented.
Thank you, Danko. And I think those 2 minutes are past, so we can continue with our session. Do we have some break or something like that? Coffee break or?
We actually have a question, Dusan, in the chat, if you want to take that.
Yes, Danko was answering that,
okay.
That question.
Okay, so yes, we have the break just for our participants to take some water, coffee, whatever they prefer, and then for our guest speakers to get prepared. And we will be back in, let's say, 5 minutes to continue with the next part of our event, which is stakeholder dialogue on UI engagement strategies.
Okay, if you want.
Dusan, you run the show as previously.
Okay. So, okay, can we start again? Coffee break is over.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So, we have second part of this session, which is going to cover more details on engagement and how to do it and how to tackle the problem of universal acceptance. And for that, we will have 4 guests, Christina, Maria, Diana, and me and Mark as male representative. So in SEEDIG is common that we have more women than men, so it's all okay. So I will start immediately. Oh, there is something in the chat, but I will start with Maria. So if Maria can tell me about, she is representing a regional coordination group for CIS and Eastern Europe. So this is some special local initiative, as we call it, in Universal Acceptance Steering Group. This is the working group who is doing job in that region. So Maria, can you tell me what you did, what you are planning in engagement part of the plan for your working group?
Okay, hello to everyone. Can I show the slides, please?
Okay, you can share now, Mike.
Okay, thanks a lot. I hope you can see it. So I think it's better to, as I have no so much time, I think it's better to show you slides. Yes, thank you, Dushan, for the introduction. Yeah, I'm representing the regional coordination group on universal acceptance, which works in CIS and Eastern Europe countries. We have representatives from 7 countries now. This is Armenia, Belarus, Georgia, Latvia, Russia, Serbia, and Ukraine. And so I just wanted to say that we work in every country. So our members work in each country. So they do their job locally, and on the level of local initiative, we just coordinate our efforts and change our experience, share our experiences. And so we have also some small groups, local groups. For example, in Russia, we have separate working group on universal acceptance. And also I know that in Armenia, our colleagues have their own working group on IDN promotion of their Armenian CCTLD. And I want to say that in terms of engagement, we work in 3 directions. So this is the technical collaboration, the general outreach, and public sector engagement. And this collaboration quite different because it depends on the audience that we want to reach out and to talk to. Next slide, so will be about how we are doing it in practice. So as for the technical audience, this is developers like system administrators, email and hosting providers. So we do some practical things focused on very, very technical issues, because actually universal acceptance have quite technical side of this question. So, and some people technical persons especially should be very focused on these small details that for general public can be unknown and meaningful. So that's why we providing some trainings for them, for developers, for example, on how to they can implement universal acceptance requirements using different programming languages. How, for example, system administrators can configure their mail service to support ERE addresses. So, and of course, some technical workshops on the general universal acceptance issues. So we provided hackathons, and there was several hackathons in Russia, and I know that some hackathons are planning in Serbia and Ukraine this year. So this was very interesting experience, and I would say that many technicians really don't know about this issue. They said it for us during the hackathon, and but what I must say that just in 36 hours, they were managed to find all the technical information, requirements, and decisions how to make, for example, websites or mobile applications UR-ready. So this is really works, and it's not a big problem for technicians to implement universal acceptance issues. And also we work ourselves on some technical decisions. For example, our colleagues were provided the support of ERE addresses in OpenSSL. It was released in free version of it, and also now it's under the overview of IETF, the draft RFC on ERE supporting EPP protocol, for example. And also we provided some guidelines on how to how you can fix some bugs in CMSs like content management systems like WordPress and Bittrex, which is popular in Russian, how you can make them UR-ready. And of course, we accumulate information on the documentation on universal acceptance and list of software that UR-ready on the special websites, which website Поддерживаю РФ, which is presented in Russian only, and it works for Russian audience, but still this is quite good resource, and we know that people subscribe there from time to time, and they are quite interesting to get this information. As for general public, we provided some reports with overview what is going on now with universal acceptance, like how a website supports email addresses, which is internationalized. For example, like I don't know how for example, CCTLD registries support UR readiness and implement UR readiness in their systems, and so on and so on. So and also we try to raise awareness for this audience, because we know that end users are the main category that will have benefits from universal acceptance implementation, and that's why they need to know what they can get if universal acceptance will be adopted, fully adopted. And that is why the end users like academia, social media, and business, which not always technical ready, not the technical audience, they should know about this issue as well. And as for the public sector engagement, so we work with this, we try to work with this audience as well, because this is quite important to bring to their attention this issue. And usually it goes in terms of preserving the local culture and identity on the internet, and the usage of local and official languages on the internet, and how to promote them, how to better how to create more web content on local languages, and of course how to make the internet more inclusive and accessible for all the citizens of the country who probably have problems with knowing English. So here are some ideas, and so just and what I want to say that why we work with those all different audiences, because just a small task you can take. For example, you can take just a website and think how to make it UR-ready. So who can do it? So this can be done by the owner of the website, by the technicians like webmasters or developers of this website, and of course by end user, because end user can show the demand that he wants that website should be UR-ready. The owner of the website can provide the task to developers how to make it, that he wants to make this website UR-ready, and developers can implement it. So this is this short example, but you see that already 3 categories of stakeholders that we need to reach out to promote the universal acceptance readiness. So sorry if I was too long, Dusan. So
no problem. I expected that. So anyway, I will ask the same question for Christina. Christina, you are working for ISOC AM, and you are working with governments, as I've heard. So can you tell us more?
Yes, hello. Thank you, Dusan, for the introduction. So my name is Christina. I'm from Armenia, as I said, Masha and Dusan. I started my career. I'm sorry. I'll start my video. Yeah. So I started my career in 2010 in those areas. Since 2015, I have participated in many local and international events and initiatives. And now, as said, Dusan,
Christina, we cannot see your video, just like your background picture, but I guess that's okay.
Ah, this is not me. I'm sorry. It takes 2 minutes to change it. I'm sorry.
This is you, but you are not moving. Okay.
I'm not there, as I see. Okay.
Still not moving.
Wait a minute. Wait. I do some settings, but I don't know what I did.
Okay, tell us, put your picture and tell us, so after that you can settle
Okay.
the problem. So you can go out from your background later.
Is it okay?
It's okay, just continue.
Okay, thank you. So starting from 2019, I'm an advisory representative to Economic Armenia, and it was very new for me to start work with government, because always everything said that to work with government, it is too how to say, they are doing their works concerning new topics very low, so it is very difficult, but I decided to begin. A little bit, I want to talk about Armenian idea, that it was launched on 2015. This year, we are celebrating the 5th year of Armenian idea. That's why we are starting some events, and it was 5 events to be correct. So for these purposes, we decided to involve all stakeholders, because we understand that working alone, we can do nothing. So there we involve registrars, government representatives, technical community, academic researchers, and end users. We also work on the development and sharing the content in Armenian on the internet, because we're sure that these steps are very important for general recognition and usage of .hi domain name. Always all events we already started, and we will sum up the results during ARM-IGF and the Regiton till the end of this year. Currently, we are now on the next round of the cooperation with the Ministry of High Tech and Industry of Armenia on the topic of universal acceptance. And the thing is that nobody knows what is universal acceptance in the government, because maybe because of they haven't specialists on this issue, maybe because the specialists always changed. So we are on the new round of the cooperation, and we hope that it will be more productive than before. So first of all, we think that we should organize some trainings for the government representatives, and then to start work on the following points. And by the way, I was talking with our colleagues from Russia, as about how to better to talk to the government to understand what they need and what we can give to them to start the process of readiness of the universal acceptance. So we mentioned some points that using the government information resources, we can promote domain in the local languages, in materials, in some articles, interviews, etc. Also, we can use the ideas in local languages to address governmental websites, departments as a secondary domain name. We can support the compatibility on all government resources. Not we, I mean, the government should ask companies who are going to cooperate with them that they could be ready to accept universal acceptance. And the inclusion of the requirement to support universal acceptance compatibility in the terms of reference for third-party contractors to develop the electronic services and software products. And we think that inclusion of information on UA in educational programs, it means academia, researchers, students, even people in schools of technical specialties, it will be very useful. As I said, we were talking about it with our colleagues, and we hope that trainings will be started in a new educational year, maybe later in September, because this is the end of the educational year. And so I can't provide much information because, as I said, we are in an early stage of collaboration. So I hope that next time I will update you with more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. So we are going to the third lady on the panel. Diana, are you there?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Dusan. First of all, I'd like to, on behalf of RUNIT, thank SEEDIG for partnering with us for organizing this first session in a row. Well, basically, I believe the question remains the same for me. What is our engagement strategy?
Yes.
And I need to give a short intro before I begin. We have Cyrillic ccTLE.serve, but also on the second level, .rs is also IDN. So you can register domain name using the characters from languages which are used by minority population in Serbia, basically all of minority groups. What we have here is a tricky part. The Serbian language can be written in both Latin and Cyrillic scripts, which at some point makes our job in promoting IDN a bit more difficult, because Cyrillic script is much less used, not just online, but in general. So the Latin script definitely is taking the lead. So what is our idea? Rather pull than push. And in terms of building awareness, engaging the public in general, but through speaking with some distinct groups. We do this through various channels which we use to communicate messages, through our social media campaigns, through media reports, organizing events, and working on different projects. And I'll be speaking of those a bit later. So we also reach out to government representatives or institutions in terms of being engaged at working groups, which work on promoting the position of Cyrillic script within our society. But what we focus on is a part of technical community, software developers, web developers. We will have a hackathon in the fall that will be heavily involved with IDN, but also for with people who are working online, who are digital creative. For example, even search engine optimization experts, different linguistic experts, designers, and through launching a free Cyrillic fonts project, we had a presentation of a second such font in January. We had a situation with people who are dealing with different activities, from font creators, basically artists, but who give something that can create content that will be placed digitally, to linguistic experts who spoke about the use of not only Cyrillic, but also the influence of, well, English as a dominant language online on the different smaller languages around the world. But also we had software developers, designers discussing the use of non-English or non-Latin scripts online. So that is a really a nice project with a sort of a holistic approach when you can engage various communities. But also another stakeholder, which I would like to mention, is definitely media. So we need to keep media interesting and conversation with media going, so independently of the projects that we run. We also have a really nice communication with media and try to keep these topics present in public. So that would be for my short intro. I hope the more discussion will come later on. Thank you, Dusan.
Thank you, Diana. Now we have Mark, who was UA ambassador, Your Excellency, Ex-Excellency. So Mark is involved in many ways in universal acceptance, but lately as representative of private sector, let's say. So can you tell us more? And yes, what are you doing in engaging people around UA? The question is the same.
Thank you very much. Just testing my microphone. Hope everybody can hear me. This is Mark Daresgaard. It's a pleasure to be here. I come from Brazil, but my family is from Poland, so close enough to the region. I have been working with universal acceptance for several years now. First as somebody who was curious, then as an ambassador, a regional ambassador for the Americas. And now I've moved on into providing services for UASG, in the sense that I felt that there was a great need for people who are very interested in doing the work to do the research for them and to work on solutions for them. So that's what I've been focused on for the past few years, I would say. And at the same time, while I recuse myself from the ambassador role to avoid any conflict of interest, at the same time, I keep doing the engagement work, but on a different scale now. So less community and less general community, let's say, and a more focused type of engagement. And the reason for this is during my time as an ambassador, what I understood, at least from my personal point of view, is that there is a gap between the people who are the communicators, let's call them, and the people who are the technicians. So there's very little work being done on actually closing that gap. So you have different levels. At one level, you have people who understand the technical side very well, but that's kind of kept to documents and to their own discussions on what can be done to universal acceptance. And the communicators have a lot of goodwill and they understand a lot of concepts, but there's not exactly a lot of work being done on bridging this, right? So the technicians don't speak out and the communicators don't get enough information and the cycle kind of continues. So we keep trying to do this work, but these two arms that should be working together sometimes fail to communicate. And in this sense, when Maria offered herself as the chair of the communications working group, that was, to me, one of the best things our group has done in the recent past, was electing her, because she has the correct vision on how to integrate all of this. And I see we are already doing a lot of changes, but there are a lot of changes to come. And what I would like to, in answer to Dushan's question, the way that I have been trying to approach this issue is by fixing UA where people cannot see it, and that they don't need to care about UA for them to have it fixed. And what do I mean by that? For example, HTML5 doesn't support universal acceptance, right? This is a finding from a study we did about 3 years ago. My consultancy did that study, and the reason for that is that, I guess, the answer that they gave us was, this is not that important, and we don't know if this is secure. So at the end of the day, we have anything that's Unicode to the left of the email address simply doesn't get recognized by HTML5 in its standard form when you use the email handle from HTML5. So supposing we manage to fix that, and this is a work we have been engaged in, it's difficult to change a standard such as HTML, but we have been working very hard at doing that, the whole community. Supposing we do that, automatically every site that uses HTML5 as a standard, suddenly it's UA compatible at that level, right? At the website level. And that's a great win. Another work we have just finished is the evaluation of the open source code for compatibility with universal acceptance. The top projects from open source software, right? So what we found was certain languages have better rates of acceptance and others have worse rates of acceptance. But what we hope to do is that now that these results are out, they will soon be out, maybe next month or so. It's the next document from the UASG to be published. What we will have is a list of, say, the top open source projects in Python, which is one of the top coding language right now, and their compatibility with UA, right? And what we would like to see the community do is for different people to reach out to the projects that are not compatible, now that we have that list. So it's a resource for the community. So if it's a software you're interested in or from your region, you know that the developer is from your country, or you know them from a trade association or something like that. We are trying to create avenues for the community to have more power to do this kind of decision. And I think that this is the way forward for the project of the UASG and for universal acceptance in general, is that everybody works together in a way, addressing back to my first point, we're doing the technical work, but trying to get it in a good state for the people who are the communicators to do their work, right? We are trying to get everything right so that eventually this can be communicated properly. And I believe that this is the kind of energy that we should aim to create, right? We should always aim to do things in universal acceptance, thinking about who can contribute with what we're doing at the other side of our fence, right? Maybe we have an overly specific group that's doing something overly specific. Who else could join? And I think that, moving forward, we have been doing a better job, I think, as a group. The new leadership is very good that's starting this year. And hopefully, our biggest hope is that the community will see this and become even more interested in the project. So anybody who would like to engage with this project in a more specific way, please contact me, Maria, Dushan. We're all involved, and anybody else who's involved, it would be a pleasure to have you together with us. So hopefully answer the question, and would be very happy to answer anything further. Thank you all.
So anyway, as I've heard from all of you, there are many paths and many level of engagement. So Mark, you defined some gap between technical people and the rest of the world. And you remind me to ask audience, please be free to ask, for example, what is IDN, what is USG, what is this kind of language, I call it iconish language, is specific, made in acronyms. So if you are not familiar with some acronym, just ask, we will be happy to answer you. And on the other side, I want to ask you, so what about the government? Do you think that the government is the right address who will solve universal acceptance? So overall, as someone who is involved in universal acceptance, I was talking with Olga about that, and Olga made a brilliant comment that universal acceptance is a train who announced leaving the train station 5 years ago and never left. So it's still there in the train station. So this is the brilliant thing that she said and explained, that universal acceptance is not going anywhere. So we are trying to find the paths. One question, maybe not government, as I was posing that question, maybe it's something else. Please, Mark, can we start from you?
Thank you. So in my personal opinion, and I don't speak for the entire project when I say this, this is just my opinion. It's tricky to deal with the government because it changes so much. So you may do a lot of engagement with them, get somebody really good that's really up to speed with you, and then suddenly the person is gone, they have been promoted, and then there's somebody in their place, and then you have to start over again. And I think that's a little frustrating from the perspective that most of us are volunteers, right? We need to use our time wisely. And on the overall, I have a lot of respect for the members of the community who do the engagement with the governments. I think it's difficult work, but it's personally not the path that I take. I think we should spend a little more energy working with the developer communities, the people who are doing the software and who are, I think it was Danko who mentioned that ICANN pressures the suppliers of ICANN to become UA ready. And even ICANN, which is a relatively big organization, has a tough time doing that. They did with a lot of software, but not all of them yet. So if we started working together more on reaching these different communities of coders, makers of coding languages, and so on, I think our return on investment would be bigger. And hopefully this is something that we can do more in the future. Thank you.
Just one question. And what about governments?
I think that the governments, it had at the beginning of the project, there was a lot of focus on governments. A lot of time was spent on governments. A few years, I think. The first 2 or 3 years of the project were that, and the returns were not so good, right? So maybe with a different strategy, we can make it work better. But our results so far have been very hit and miss. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Maria, you built CCTLD, IDN CCTLD, which is the which have the topest number of the domain names, .rf, and you were using government in that. So what is your opinion about governments as engagement?
Okay. So
From the engagement point of view.
yes, the one comment here is that government, this is let's say local entity, yes, and governments they usually support local script and everything that is connected with the official language one, or if there are several official languages in the country. So so you can speak with government in these terms about how to support local language on the internet, and of course including in domain names and email addresses. And by this reason, so our example is really good support. The real good support was provided by government when we launched Cyrillic ID and domain name 10 years ago, and their support did a lot for us, and because you know that this is also quite connected with the mass media, because mass media really like to get the comments from governments, from officials, and that is why you can get lots of attention of general public when someone from government, and in our case it was the president, who supported .rf domain name. So that's why there are lots of PR and activities around it. As for universal acceptance, still the main point here is that you can discuss the support of local script. So because universal acceptance itself means that there's a support of all existing now scripts, all Unicode symbols, right? With some restrictions. But so when you talk with local government, so they can understand you when you talk about the local script exactly, not the whole script. And the second comment here is that if you will get the support from the government, it will be the bottom-down approach, right? So government can provide some policies that will influence the whole market. Yes, they can provide this influence, and they can make some, maybe not whole market, but some parts of it you are ready. This opportunity exists, and of course, I think that everyone is interested to discuss this and to get this support from, yes, thank you, Michael, top down, sorry. Yes, top-down approach, and but from other side,
upside down.
From other side, you know that this top-down approach is sometimes not something that is positively accepted by the markets. So this can be some a side effect that probably not really willing. By this reason, it's maybe more ecological, let's say, or more tentative and smooth to communicate with technical audience, with vendors, the biggest vendors, because the biggest vendors can also be such decision makers and companies and entities who can influence the whole market, because if one big entity will implement the universal acceptance readiness, so it will be like a great example as well to follow, and so this can also influence the market. And I would say that regarding the comment from Olga about this training that's never left the station, I would say that it's already passing the platform. At least the train starts to do it, because I would say that recently, maybe last week, we received messages from Communicate Pro. This is one of mail services that is widespread, for example, in Russia and in some CIS countries, and they confirmed that they implemented UR readiness. So they support EREs And I think that is great. And so they will announce it officially. And also Russian content management system, Bittrex, that I have already mentioned. I would say that 40% of Russian websites are based on this content management system, or around 40%. So they implement the support of IDNs and ERAs as well. So, and that is really good, because if such companies will do their job, so it also influence market, because you see that at least at once 40% of, for example, websites in Russia can work with ERA addresses, right? So this is small steps. They are taken by some companies, not everyone, but still they influence this process. And I'm still optimistic with it. Maybe this process will be long, but it goes so forward. That's nice.
Okay, thank you. Diana, what you are thinking about? We are coming from smaller country than Russia. So what you are thinking about the government as engagement plan?
Yeah, I was just thinking while I listened to Maria speaking, what more chances and options you got when you live in a huge country with a lot of people. Serbia is a really small country. And I heard some great points from her and from Mark as well in regards to local language support. And from my perspective, that's an important part where government should get involved in terms of promotion, because we all expect governments at some point to do some really important job, not just for us living in our countries, but also globally. I mean, in terms of preserving heritage of a humankind, because this is a way to preserve that, because if something's not digitalized nowadays, it will probably be gone or lost. We are far from keeping Rosetta Stones and characters carved in the stone. We need to preserve things digitally. And I believe that there can be a very important role of a government in providing that type of support and promotion. And Maria stated out that PR activities are always great when government officials are involved. But Mark also had a nice point that people change, governments change, and it's really important to have a point of contact somewhere, someone who understands this matter, because this is not something that's like generally familiar. So you need to have someone who you can work with continuously. And that's when we come to the second part, and it's the people. At the end of the day, people are the ones choosing the governments. So keeping the people interested and public more generally aware of the options available and the things that can be done. And at the end of the day, increasing demand can also can be actually the key. Danko spoke about the synergy of various elements involved. So I believe not government only can be the answer, but we need to have more people involved from various angles attacking the issue. Also, great vendors, as Maria mentioned.
Thank you. I want to hear from Christina, who is also GAC representative. Who doesn't know what is GAC? I don't know either. So I know, but let her explain from government point of view. So do you think that something should be done more with the government or something like that about universal acceptance?
Yes, thank you, Tushan. We can state that government has a big resources, so to use these resources is the first point for the development of universal acceptance. But the thing is that all speakers talk about it. I don't want to repeat, but we have a gap for education. I mean, not education of the students or peoples, but the trainings of employees of the government, because yes, you are starting to work with them. You spend your time to understand what their needs or your needs. So we are finding some points of working, and they gone. But it is very sad, but you are starting with other person from the first point. So the first level is to start trainings with governmental persons, I mean employees or some people from government, let's say. Okay, and then they will impact with their resources to develop some points for readiness for UA, for registering some domain names in local language, in native language. And I hope that it will help. And of course, the government should be more flexible with other stakeholders to develop it together, because alone, no one can do this.
Thank you, Christina. But while we are here, I want to ask you to go further. So what is the perspective from the government point of view when they are talking about something like public-private partnership or something similar, or only private companies? Do they want to build something with them around UA, and how? What is your opinion?
Yes, they are ready. We have some meetings with them during the last 2 months. So they are ready. The thing is that they don't know from where to start. They need some information, some useful events, some useful trainings to understand, do they need, or do they impact to other companies, maybe private sector, maybe technical or academia, to start the process. But they understand that it is necessary to start.
It's quite interesting attitude, because internet is mostly owned by private companies. So in that sense, I will ask Diana, what do you think about private companies as, let's say, the goal for engagement strategy on UA? So will it be helpful to go directly to private companies and do, as Maria told us, to do this thing with them?
I believe it's not just that it wouldn't hurt, but it would be really useful. From our experience, we have cooperation with, well, I mean, not huge or globally recognized private companies, but for example, software development companies, which are recognized the UA and which are interested, and their people are interested in that topic, and it gives a much better outreach to public. Those people with the know-how to show that something can be done, and interest other people who know that something can be done. But at the end of the day, we are all users of those tech services provided by major companies, and I believe that their role is really important, and that reaching out directly to them can definitely be a good strategy, where it can be done from the private-public partnership, as you, Dusan, mentioned, but their role is definitely really important.
Because you already said, Maria, that it is important to speak with private companies. I will ask you, because Russia is a little bigger country than Serbia, so un poco. So yet there is an opinion that in big countries you have a lot of software developers, etc. For example, Yandex in Russia, and big companies, even global companies. So what do you think about that? Working with Yandex, working with them to implement universal acceptance?
Yes, I actually have lots of thoughts in my mind. And lots of different activities that can be presented in the field of promotion of universal acceptance in our region. Just to try to take the more important. So the first one is that when you work with big companies, so you should understand that this is business. This is not developers. This is all about business. So, and when you speak with big companies, they should see what economic benefits they can get, actually. So all we know that universal acceptance actually don't bring lots of money. So this is not about money, at least at the moment. This is more about social corporate responsibility or something like this. And that is one difficulty, because you need to bring this to their attention. And of course, it will be much easier if there would be money. Yes, they can get it at once. But what else? Because of this is business, they always care about the loyalty of their customers. They think about this, and especially big companies, they have huge number of customers, and if they will provide some service that is not totally how to say work properly, right? They will get lots of negative feedback from their clients, and it will be huge feedback because they have millions of clients. And this is one point that stop big company to implement this. For example, the support of internationalized email addresses, because they will be how to say under the water with complaints that it doesn't work. And this is a huge problem. But from the other side, we need to continue to contact them, because when we reach this critical level of ERE support, so then everything starts to work more or less great, right? And it seems that they just wait while this critical level will be reached, and then they can launch their services like ERE fully ready and to provide it to end users. This is like, but this is difficult, because you know that we wait them to implement this, but they wait for everyone else to implement it. But they just care about the majority of the market and the majority of end users in the country. So this is like the great challenge, how to step from this I don't know, from this to pick this problem. Just a second. And what I see here, this is my personal opinion. If we can't reach the big companies, so for example, in providing ERA services, what we are doing, we are trying to contact the hosting providers, the smaller companies. They can be interested in these services. They can be pioneers. They can get some PR on the market, because they will be the first who launched this support. And you should know that there are really interest in general market, in general audience for this topic. So for example, when we have announced that we are providing the test bed for EIA addresses, Cyrillic EIA addresses for developers, we actually get around 15 requests from end users, because they want to get it. They are not developers. We can't provide this service for them, but they really want to get Cyrillic email addresses. So there are demand. It exists. It's not really well analyzed, but I would say that if you want to reach out to the big vendors, you need to reach out the end users. It seems how it works. So you need to raise awareness of end users. So to get this bottom-up approach, so because they can push developers, they can push them and big vendors and ask them for providing this service. This is how it can work as well. And what I would say regarding the Facebook, so I've just tried to, I wrote the message on the forum for developers who work on Facebook platform and ask how I can reach out Facebook to ask them about this support. I'm not developer. I have no Facebook application on connected with their platform, but I'm just end user. So what I can do only send complaint from my personal page. I've done it, so everyone can do it. So just small steps, and we can do it ourselves. Just send complaints, send requests to developers, ask them to implement it, because they need us end users to show them the demand. So
thank you. Interesting. Mark, you and we are representing private companies. From my point of view, when I see 10 demands from one user, I don't like this user at all. Huh? So what is your opinion on many complaints coming to push universal acceptance from private company? And second question, it was original question, how about the governments and private companies from your perspective? How do you see it? So, please.
Yeah, nothing scares a company more than when those emails start to pile up and suddenly it seems like a problem, right? Something that was isolated starts to seem like a problem. This is the kind of coordinated action that the community can start to engage in. And it doesn't even have to be, you know, that activistic. It doesn't have to be, I demand. No, it's just like literally, this feature would be good. If those demands start to pile up, it makes a huge impact, especially if the software provider is small or medium, right? For large ones, then yeah, they want to see those thousands of things coming in, and then you change the equation a lot, right? We need to cooperate with ICANN, we need to cooperate with everyone to try to mobilize one of those. Last year, we spent trying to mobilize Apple, and it actually worked. We did a lot of engagement, but that was because one of our members had kind of a door in. He had been a contractor for Apple. So that's where we took our leap and said, you know, we should start working on this, which is the second thing, which is important, that people who are interested in this and have a contact, any contact that's even moderately relevant within one of these companies, you should try to reach out to the people who are doing the work, because it helps us so much. Like if you want to help the project, but you don't exactly know how to code, or you don't know, you don't have the time to do outreach, doesn't matter. If you give us a good contact from even a medium-sized company that you think would be willing to do the work, we can work with them, right? And about public partner, public government, public-private partnerships, I think it's a great thing to explore. It's not that expensive actually to fix universal acceptance. It's just difficult and it takes time. But from the perspective of, you know, it being a tough sell for governments, it's not tough to sell because it's not that expensive. You need like 3 people who are very engaged into that one thing, putting a lot of hours to, and I'll explain very briefly why this is so difficult to get everyone on the same page. Because the problem with universal acceptance is if you fix 7 out of 8 components on the way, it still won't work. you need to fix 8 out of 8 components on the entire chain of something, you know, be it email, be it domain resolution, the domain name resolution, be it whatever. Everything needs to work from the operational system level all the way to the end user screen for the system to actually work. And the point we find ourselves right now is a point in which we have a lot of these components working, but because we don't have all of them, we don't see the progress. So we are making progress, but it's hard to see because it's the thing in which we have to get everything right. So public-private partnership is definitely a way to go because it's not expensive. It literally just takes a lot of commitment. If we can get those commitments in, great. That would be a great way to move forward. We have a good example. The Russian example is very good, but we also have a good example in India, where there's a company that really pushes it to the government and they have access to the government and they're managing to really get in there. So it can work for sure.
Okay, so someone mentioned users. So as I said, Olga was brilliant with her comment, and her comment was coming from user side. So someone said comments to the companies, then companies will change the things. Someone said during this session, users are electing governments, so they are electing the other part that we spoke about. So what do you think and how do you think to engage users? So question, let's start with Mark. Let's go the other way around.
There's a thing I do, and I don't know if it's interesting. It's something that works when I do engagement in the Americas. Maybe it needs to be adapted for the SEE region, but I think it works everywhere, if I was to guess. Now it's a guess that I take. I, instead of saying that email X is trying to contact email Z, because that's very impersonal. What's an email? This is not about emails. We're trying to help people communicate, right? It's about the people. So I make little characters, you know, like cute little characters like, oh, this is a Chinese businesswoman. This is, you know, an Arabic baker. They want to try to communicate. Something silly like that. But if I notice right from the audiences, the moment you stop abstracting it and you make it about these people are trying to communicate without having the hassle of having to type in ASCII because it's serious, because they don't care, or because it's not part of their daily activity. How can we get that to work, right? And I think that that's been very helpful. And whenever I'm trying to speak, you know, now I'm speaking a little bit back when I was more ambassador than contractor, but I think the experience still works. We also have another great ambassador here, Abdalmonen, a great friend from UASG. He does a lot of great work in the Arabic region. We need these people who get out there and really speak at a human level. How do we get you to connect to the person you want? That's pretty much has been my approach, and I have to say that it works. Maybe a small scale, but it does work.
Christina, same question. How to engage users about universal acceptance from your point of view?
You know, in Armenian language, we have 39 letters, but in Latin, almost 26, as I remember. Yes. So when our users starting to type in Latin letters, but speaking Armenian, they need more combinations of each sound or words. So this is one way that I want to explain how to engage them, because using their native language, they will easily communicate. They will easily get an information which is more relevant to their interests, their hobbies, or something like this. This is the one way. And another way, we don't have to explain them what is UA, what is IDN, what is other acronyms, etc. They just need to be to learn to easy to get something from internet using their skills at the first point, and then we can work with them to advance their skills. But this is the other part of conversation. So first of all, I think they should understand that using their native language is more easily. And then it comes to other instances. I mean, UA readiness with government or with technical guys or private sector, as you mentioned. So that's it.
Thank you, Christina. Diana, I will repeat the question. So what is your opinion how to engage users?
Well, I need to once again emphasize the difference with the problem, let's call it like that, with Serbian, because it can be written and understood both in Latin and Cyrillic script, and which is not really common. So what we have in Serbia is a matter of use of Cyrillic script. And I really believe that what we can do, I don't know, from, for example, registry side or someone who is engaged in this, just to keep on informing and encouraging people to ask for something, to demand. For example, yes, I want an email address which is completely written in Cyrillic, and I would really like to get that, and I would like to use internet like that, and I'm a user, and that is something I choose, and I don't want to choose to use.
Your first job is user.
What? Sorry.
Your first job is user, internet user.
Yep. So we should be working on encouraging users to demand for some sort of service, and encouraging users to demand to use their languages online, and to make things more accessible to them. So that is my perspective. Whether shall we do that through giving them good examples, giving them good case studies, working with companies to help them respond to the requests from users? Whether shall we work with governments, telling them, hey, look, people really want to use internet like that, but users are, at the end of the day, a really important part of the puzzle, and you can offer whatever you like to anyone, whether it's fully functional or that, but at the end of the day, you need to have people who will actually use it. And as Mark said, really nice, we do it for the people. It's somewhere at the end of the day who can communicate one with another without linguistic barriers. So that's it.
Thank you. Before Maria answer the same question, I will take opportunity to say something logistical stuff. So after the session, at the end of the session, after the discussion, we will have a group photo. So stay here, stay tuned. And now, Maria, the same question, how to engage users? And
I would, yeah. You know that if you take Russia, so we already have at least 700,000 engaged users, because this is the number of registered IDN domain names in Russia. So we have at least this audience already existing. And I would say that in our case, we really intensive use Russian language in our country on everyday basis, everywhere, in messages, on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere. So that is, actually the percentage of citizens who really know English and really comfortable to use it on daily basis, not really high. By this reason, we have so high popularity of .rf domain name, and especially in regions outside of big cities. So if you go somewhere in Russia, so you see these advertisements on streets, like something.rf, like I don't know, some baker.rf, like Mark mentioned. So this is very typical situation, and it's really popular because this is comfortable. It's easy to remember, it's catchy, and you can make some creativity on these domain names and so on and so on. But we have quite old myths. So IDN works, more or less it works, it's okay, but email addresses with Cyrillic scripts doesn't work anyhow. So this is what is in mind of the end users, and this what prevents them from more actively usage of IDN domain names. And that is why we work exactly and focus on the support of Cyrillic email addresses. This is the first part. And how to engage more people, more users with this. I would say that, first of all, of course, explain them that now it can work, and there are technical standards, there are technical decisions that can be taken by developers and online services. They really can get these services. This is the first part. And the second point here, I would say that we need to take into account the linguistic diversity of each country, because I think that there are some difficulties of how people use their own language, and especially how they use this language on the internet. I mean that, for example, our Czech colleagues, they actually don't want to implement IDN domain names because, you know, they use, of course, Latin characters, but with some diacritic signs. But so people just get used to only Latin languages, and there can be some problems in their minds. Sorry, how to switch on to exactly Czech languages. So there are some very, very specific linguistic, I think, specifics in each country that we need to understand when we try to provide IDN domain names and email addresses. If we really understand it, so we will get the answers and see how we can rise this demand on the market. That's what I think. And once again, connected with these ideas, so I think that anyhow the internet is is becoming more multilingual anyway, and that is why there are probably some new services will come soon that will be based on this multilingual diversity. Probably we still don't know what services and can't predict them totally, but so there will be some new services, I think, that for example, like translation service on Facebook, for something like this, that will help our end users to work in different languages.
Thank you, Maria. And we have 10 minutes, 11 minutes, as I see it, for your questions. So if you have questions, comments, I saw a lot of them in the chat. So please raise the hand. Mikhail.
Yes, that's me. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my question is to actually for all speakers or for whoever wants to pick it up. How do you think, is it possible, we are talking about the user engagement, and at the same time, we admit that internet belongs to private companies, to a huge business who is all about the money. Of course, they can count it, and they need some economical justification behind what they do. So how do you think whether it's possible to create or to develop some kind of new type of product that will be of high demand among end users that at the same time can boost the universal acceptance. I know that you will not come up immediately with this magic solution and say, here is the magic project that we need. But do you think that this is the right direction to follow if we are working with a further implementation of universal acceptance? So as Diana said, rather pull than push. So make something that end users will be glad to follow just because they need it. Thank you.
So who will take this abracadabra question?
I can try, but very short idea that the problem that the people that what I see now, that the people who try to promote universal acceptance, they are not actually those people who can provide very trendy service for end users. We are mostly IDN registries, and this is quite a problem. We provide very narrow specific services, and so probably we need to find someone from Facebook or I don't know, Google or someone to make this service, and people go there. Yeah, I agree with.
Okay. Anyone else?
Maybe me.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that it would be great if we could come up with such a magic potion. Most of our problems would probably go away. But Maria also said that we are actually registries and working on a really narrow area, and sometimes going out and beyond in promoting UA. So, but discussions like this and experience exchange is really relevant. So at some point, I guess we'll have to come to some sustainable solution altogether.
Okay. Anyone else?
I just want to add that there is no universal solution for universal acceptance. So we are relying on the best practices from other countries who already passed the way, and they, as Maria said, they have already 700,000 registrations. It means that they have done a lot of work. So we are ready to cooperate. Thank you.
Okay. So this is IDN problem, but there is a picture and I know who it is, Liana. You want to ask the question?
Hi, Dushan. Hello, everyone. No, I want to make a comment, and I decided to put my name in Armenian language. No, this is kind of confusing, but it's a good start to show. At least there is a picture there, you can see. First of all, my congratulations for the SEEDIG 7 series, and starting it with the universal acceptance topic. This is really very hot one in our region, and we continue developing it. I wanted to add just a remark on how to engage the end users or just internet users, and sharing one of our activities that we've done recently, and it is in a phase. Though this is kind of connected with the content, local content on the local language, but this is one of the things that we're doing this year. We are encouraging, we organized with Wikimedia Armenia to encourage people to start writing articles in Armenian language. So we are kind of doing both, creating the content in the language and giving more information about the IDNs. And with this as an actions coming to the universal acceptance as one of the stakeholders, as the end users and the just users of internet to create the content. And then Christina mentioned, of course, what we're doing with stakeholder engagements. That is the event that we had with different people, different forces, bringing together. So that's one aspect about Wikipedia articles. Maybe some of the countries from our region can get inspired on this. As a contest, we do this, and we will have the winners and all these awards done by the Armenian IGF, as Christina mentioned already. That's it, and I want to congratulate again, and good luck with this SEEDIG 7 series. Thank you.
Thank you, Liana. Okay, I don't see any hands. I see a lot of comments from Anna. Anna, you can speak if you want. We have 4 minutes, and if there is Maria, yeah.
Yeah, just a short comment. Sorry for interrupting for the previous discussion. So we talk about educational materials for everyone, for public sector, for end users. But I would say here concrete that we need to educational materials for developers as well, for vendors, because I would say that our topic, domain names and email addresses, because this is the scope of universal acceptance, actually, the narrow and concrete scope. They usually don't think so much about these topics. So you need to understand this, because we are in our ICANN and CEST communities are focused on them, but this is quite narrow topic for big developers, for big vendors. So this is we need to take in mind and to speak when we speak with them.
Okay, let's hear Anna. I invited her, and then Mark.
Well, thank you very much. I try to say short. I already say that we need a government to spread the information, to share information, and it's very important to have a necessity to use international email addresses on our native language. We can use very good experience of India and all governmental services for identification. The people need the email address on their native language. Then in our regional initiative, we spoke a lot of about procurement system, and maybe for each tender we should plus that the website should be with universal acceptance ready. And for end users, again, everything is linked. If the people will be more informed, if government will ask to use international email addresses, then private sector, I think that it needs a little more time that we imagine now, because in chat I already wrote about this, that at the end of 20th century nobody of us can imagine that the internet should be so useful for all layers of people, you know, that not academic, not student, but for simple people in market or for everybody. And now we are, I also wrote about Ram Mohan laws. I guess you know. If not, I can read it. The first is the old TLD will be accepted more often than the new TLD, and now it is. ASCII TLD is accepted more than IDN TLD. And third, 2 of 3 letter TLDs are accepted more often than longer CC TLDs of GTLDs. As you see, these laws now to be in place, but we hope that our common work in this field will bring very good results.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Mark, as a conclusion, be quick.
Yes, very quick answer to what Anna was saying. We, in the most recent results about universal acceptance, we are doing a lot of progress in accepting short new TLDs. So anything 3 letters is almost done. We're almost there. And the longer ones are doing along better. They are steadily increasing. Our problem is with the IDNs. Those are the ones that are seeing very modest growth. So definitely there is a need to raise awareness on IDNs in specific and start really getting that word out there. So that's definitely a focus. People need to start really showing the interest so that we can see that growth, better. Thank you.
Thank you all. I can conclude the session, and I'm inviting you once again for a group photo. So Olga, take the lead from here. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you, Dusan. Thank you, everyone, for helping us to make, I believe, the successful start of SEEDIG 7 series. Keep following us. We will be back with 6 more events during this year. And now, yes, please switch on your cameras if you are not too much concerned about your privacy. And we will make
this joint smile. And everyone can say SEEDIG if they want to.
Who will say cheese?
Cheese.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you all and see you for the next event.